Okay, let's continue with the absolute total fuck up story. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to go into the center there, and you see that little shoulder. I'm going to take out that little shoulder. I'm going to come up front here, and I'm going to thread this area right here, just this first inch, and then I'm going to build a ring and thread the exterior of the ring and screw the ring into this hole and build a shoulder out here. This side hasn't been cut yet, thank God. So we're going to go and cut it coming from the other direction and build our shoulder onto that. So, you know, I'm going to save it. So that's a main thing. The block of steel was about $400, and I probably have 30 hours in this thing at this point. So I do not want to lose it. But hey, one bonehead move after another, and we just squeak by that much. Patty over there is laughing at me. All right, so I've run the tap down in 3 of these holes. Now we're working on number 4. Well, good morning, Nick Collier here. It's, I don't know, sometime mid or late January. It's a sunny day, as it is often here in California. And we're going to go ahead and move into cutting the V in the second block of steel. And I'm going to bring you up and show you where I'm at here. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, this is the smaller block, and basically what's going to happen is the rams are going to expand and push against the heavy block, and then as they contract to get another bite, this smaller block will kick in and bring the cable back where it wants to be and get it back to the original position. Okay, so we've calculated our angle. Now we're coming in and taking a couple of bites at a time to pull out that material. It's going pretty fast though. Well, good morning, campers. Nick Collier here, and it's another amazing, beautiful, sunny California day at the end of January. And usually at this time of year, it's raining and pouring and snowing and all of that stuff, and we don't know what's happening. Oh, global warming? So anyhow, let's move forward here. We've decided, after waking up in the middle of the night and going, wow, you know, I really need to think about what this next step is going to be. I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to take this off of the lathe, because there's no way I can get a true center going on this vertical surface, because, you know, this thing weighs about 60 or 70 pounds at this point, and I can barely pick it up. So what I'm going to do is take this off, and I built myself a nice solid base for it to sit on, and take it over to the mill, lay it on the mill, set it up, and then find out where my center is going to be. Because this, remember from a while back, this hole was cut and it was probably, you know, 10 or 20 thousandths off, and I don't want to be off with these 2 holes. So I'm going to square up to this edge here and set my new hole, then bring it back over to the lathe and set it up and center it out to a circle in the metal that I make over on the mill. So let's get started doing that. And I got a small pair of channel locks here that I'm going to take this off with. Barely fit, but they do fit. Base plate is rotated, so we're going to go ahead and get that off of it, get the weight off of that. And I think we're ready to pull this out and yank it off and go over there. But before we do that, because I don't want to handle this thing any more than I have to, let's go over to the mill take off the the vise, and get everything prepared for this to come over there. All right, so I'll be back. Okay, the vise, this vise is a monster. I can't tell you how much it weighs, but I can't really lift it any longer. Now, maybe when I first got it 5 years ago or so, I could lift it, but these days, no chance. So we're going to loosen it, and I went to Harbor Freight and got myself a little cherry picker hoist that goes on the back of a truck, and hooked it up to the back of the let's see, where's my oil? There it is. To the back of the mill, where you normally would put a jumping jack, and use it as just a little hoist. So now I just basically slide my vise down, loosen my jack up a little bit so it can reach. There it goes. And start jacking. Pretty easy, fairly painless, not too much hassle. Bring it over, get my flashlight out of the way, and drop it down. All right, now we have a free surface. In which to put that big ass steel bolt. Right, here it comes. Okay, let's spin it around so we can see the front edge, because this is the edge we want to work with. And that looks pretty good. We'll go ahead and make sure we're square up against these two edges first before we start toe clamping this thing in. But so far I think we're going to look pretty good. Wow, I like that. Those wedges are great. So then I can just pull this thing up against the wedge and I know that I'm square. So, okay, so now we're going to toe clamp these in. Actually, you know what? We don't even have to toe clamp them. This thing is so heavy that all we need to do is coax indicate our center here, come over here and transfer that over, and then build ourselves a little circle that's exactly the same size as this one over here, wherever that hole lands. So let's go ahead and do that, and I'm going to go ahead and set up the coax, and I'll be back. Okay, so we're set up with the coax. So let's turn the machine on, and what do we got? Oh, a bunch. So we'll keep pulling it together until it gets closer. I love this coax because you don't have to really think about it. That looks pretty good. Okay, we're perfectly centered, which means that we pull the coax out for one, and we're going to zero ourselves out for another, and then put it on INS or INC, which is short for something, meaning temporary setting. Now we're direct center in this hole, and our hole is 400. If that's if I remember correctly. It might be 410 or something like that. 414. Okay, so now we want to come over 207 to that line. But actually, you know what? Let's do it this way. Let's take this. Now, again, we're not shooting for anything super accurate here. If we were within 20 thousandths, I would be more than happy. So we're going to go from this edge over to this edge, and we've got let it dry a little bit, and then we're going to transfer this measurement over to here. Then we're going to add 2 inches, 7.5 thousandths, and that's going to find our center. And then once we found center, we'll come back in with something that's going to allow us to make a scratch or a cut in the top edge of this to give us a nice radius so we can work from that. There's our line. Sometimes you just can't see it all that well. Let's see if we can turn this little light on here. It's not plugged in. We'll deal with that later. All right, so there's our line. Snug that down a little bit. We're still directly center overhead, and I need to bring that table back up. And we'll rotate over until we reach our line, knowing that the X direction is square up against the front edges here. So we'll just kind of come in and see what we can do about finding that dead center. That looks pretty good. Okay, so that's our X direction. So if we zero that out, now we come in 2 inches and 7 thousandths. 1, 207. And that is center. Look how far out that is. Okay, good. So now we need to come in with something that's going to give us a scratch mark. And I think I have the very tool here. I hardly ever use it, of course, but it looks like this actually might do the trick. We'll just slide this up in there, take the drill bit out, and adjust it to our width, and then do a full circle. All right. Adios, muchacho. There's our perfect circle coming up. And actually what I want to do is go inside of that circle just a little bit, just so I know where to land, and then I've got a little bit more to go to give myself. All right, let's see what we've got. No, it's not landing right. It's we need to be here. And it's, oh, a good 1/8 of an inch away from that. So maybe the bent part of this is the problem. So I think maybe what we'll do is go ahead and take it out and heat that up a little bit and see if we can tap that bend over and get rid of that bend. Which way is it bent? It's bent toward the bit. Of course it is bent toward the bit. All right, let's just see if we can get that back in alignment. Yeah, pretty chewed up. Now one thing we could do is take it apart and put this back in the lathe and just turn this little head down, because it is a mess. Or we could grab it there and flip this around. I don't know, we're going to have to play with this. We'll be back. So I can't tell you how many years I've owned this little tool, and every time I pick it up I go, ah, it's, you know, it's bent and it needs some help, and I just put it back away and go on and do something else or find another tool to do the same project. And here we are doing a repair job on it. What, 10 years later? A well-deserved repair job on top of it. All right, that puts us down to where we were before, and let's just have a look at it and see how we're doing. Well, I'm seeing one low spot right there. I think that we need to get that out. So let's take it back and throw one more little bead on it. Oops, the whole point of this exercise was to film this, and I forgot. Sorry. So you get the last seconds of it. We're almost down to where we want to be. I might have got another 3 or 4 thousandths to go. Okay, we're back up on the lathe. We're somewhat in place. We've got our nut. We're going to put that in place and bring this thing in snug or semi-snug. Let's see if we can get this kind of going where we want it to go. Yeah. There it goes. All right. So then we'll put a washer and nut on this part. And what that's going to do is just snug us down and get us in position so we can start to indicate this thing into place. Good, good. Let's snug this up a little bit just to get the block up against the faceplate. There we go. And then this guy should square up. Let's see, I think it might be too low. Let's see if we can slip that shim in a little bit better. There we go. Much better. Take our blocks of wood out. All right, let's see what we've got here. Something's up. Oh, there it is. Oh, look at that. Can you see it? No, you can't. We're gonna bring that down so you can see it. Actually, let's just bring it over so you can see it. We're not too close to that. Okay, let's spin this and just see how far out of center we are. I'd say what, an inch? Okay, so we got some adjusting to do here. That shouldn't be too difficult. So let's get some tools in order and we'll be right back. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is just point this thing out and come up with someplace close. And then we'll come in with indicators and see if we can pull something off with that. But for now, we're just pointing. If you'll notice, it looks to me like that's a high spot right there. So we're going to let the weight of this actually make our adjustment. And just loosen it up until it starts to slip. There it goes. Keep coming. A little bit more. And we can tighten it up. Let's get the leather mallet. Let's just see what that looks like, because everything shifts when you drop that much weight. That's much better. Okay, and we're still wide there. My gosh. That sucker just fell right into place. We're still out by an eighth or so, but not bad. Someplace right in there, I think. Oops. Now we just shifted. That's pretty good. And the only real wrench I have to tighten this with is these hose clamps. So we're going to do our best with that. And we'll get a reasonably tight. Still looking good. Okay, if you look out here, everything looks like pretty cattywampus. But let's come in close. That's not close. And let's come in right to the pointer. Can you see it? There it is. Although it's not real clear, is it? Let's, okay, so we're right on the money. So let's get rid of that. And we want to tighten everybody up a little bit more. I think I dropped that wrench. There it is. Just to make sure we're good and snug. And this one here. Now, we've got our center hole going. What I want to do is I want to come in and solidify this thing, get it solid against that that backing plate. So this is pretty good here, but I think what I want to do is come in with a couple of toe clamps and really grab this side here so that it will not move on me when I get ready to start jumping around here. Okay, look at that center hole. That baby is very lopsided. We're not going to be able to get a drill bit in there to make it any bigger. So I think what we're going to have to do is just come in with a small boring bar and see if we can trim that thing out, maybe 10 thousandths at a time or so. So what I've come up with is this little boring bar here, and we might be able to kind of pull it off. I mean, it'll certainly reach the bottom. In fact, it'll reach further than the bottom. But what we have to do is pull some, grind some metal off the back there, as you can see. So I think what we're going to do is go ahead and put that on the saw and cut it first, and then come back in and grind it. We'll be back.